Hey there, and welcome to the Chasing the Rabbit podcast from First Baptist Church of the Islands in Savannah, Georgia. Be sure to follow this podcast. Turn on those notifications to get every episode right on time. Help us out by rating this podcast. Even better, share it with someone you think may enjoy it. I'm Brooks. I'll be your host for today's episode, so let's chase some rabbits. All right, welcome to everybody. We are glad to do another episode 101. We're starting on another 100. Right?
I feel like a Dalmatian today.
Hey, I didn't even think about that. 101 podcast episodes.
Yeah.
And Dalmatians. Yes.
Dalmatians.
So I didn't even think about that tie-in. Did y'all ever see that movie, by the way?
I just watched the old version a couple weeks
The
ago.
original?
Yes, yeah, it's from 1961.
That's
Really?
the first time you had watched it?
It's been since I was a wee little lad.
I have a cousin who she would love to watch the 101 Damnations.
Oh, that's how she said it.
That's what she would say.
Oh,
How many are in the Bible?
That's a different one.
And of course, we would always
Got
get her
your
to
seven
say
deadly
it. We'd be like,
sins.
what do you want to watch?
Oh,
what do you want
goodness.
to see? So, yeah.
Goodness. One of the kids, I think it may have been Hannah. I can't remember. Maybe it was April. We used to call at Christmas time. It wasn't Bethlehem. It was Beckelhem.
Beckelhem.
It's funny when
That's
when
good.
they say
Yeah.
stuff, and you're exactly right. You don't correct them. You don't want to
Yeah.
correct them. You want it to go
Yeah.
as long.
Same girl, she
as
used
long
to
as you
say
can.
pretzels instead of pretzels. They were pretzels. So whenever we were together as a family, even now, we'd all say, "You want some pretzels?" To her,
I'm sure she appreciates that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably like, I can speak correctly now.
She's 40 now, and it's like, you want some pretzels?
Y'all are all laughing. She's just like looking at me.
Yeah.
So I'm going to try not to mess up. Jason gets choked up anytime you talk about pretzels.
I was just thinking about years of speech therapy personally, but
But other than that,
yeah.
So last time I really botched up the introduction.
Yeah, you did.
I went the wrong direction and just really messed it up. So we're just going to go back to the normal way. I mean, this is like episode 1 of the second batch of 100. And
He's got his fingers ready.
so
Thank you. I'm ready.
let's
to
start
go over
across
here.
the tape. I'm just kidding. So we'll go this direction over here.
Hey, this is Jason. I'm the equipping pastor.
All right, this is J.O. Jeremy Young, the children's pastor.
How's it going, guys? This is Eric, and I'm the student pastor.
And this is Adam, the worship pastor.
So we have this little thing back behind me, right, that has all kind of stuff on the shelves, part of which doesn't show up in the screenshot, correct?
Yeah.
I don't think.
Can
it's
you
in
go
the-
to a
it's in the
wider
comp-
shot? Can you zoom out so that
Yeah,
people
we
can
can
Can I
see it?
move the camera?
No, don't touch that.
Okay.
I've been a wider shot.
Don't you dare.
It's my phone.
I've been
right now.
Not right now. It's not.
I've been a wider shot lately. I've been.
So there we go. Now they can kind
Now
of
they can see some stuff around you.
Yeah.
See some stuff.
So sometimes we
around,
move
yeah.
things around from time to time. There's just some. Most all of it was already here on church property. Some of it, I guess, we may have brought in, but most of it was already here. And I do want to just take a moment to really present one that doesn't fit in the actual screenshot. Super Bowl's coming, and Super Bowl is the time when champions are made. And this is one that who found this?
It's in the attic. We have several in
We
the
got a
attic.
stash.
Yeah,
up
if you
there.
want to see our trophy collection, just go to the attic.
There's just a feel that goes with this, like just being able to hold this is like just the feel of it, like you've won the Heisman.
Yeah.
This is from 1995. It was
a good year.
safely presented and stored in the church attic.
It's the year I graduated high school.
From the first annual Wildcats football 1995 softball tournament
With a baseball guy.
with a baseball guy. Yeah. The first annual Wildcats football 1995 softball tournament. Third place, baby.
Yeah.
Do we get a
Wow.
hand clap
There we go.
for this for the 1995 team? This is we're recognizing them on the 29th anniversary
You would be
of this team's
shocked.
third place win.
You'd be
in the
shocked
tournament.
to know that there wasn't a second annual.
Hey, I want Eric to point out what he noticed on this trophy, though.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So
We need to hold it closer.
It could just be my thing. So the placard that has the baseball and the cross bats,
Placard.
I think it is upside down because
Yeah.
typically the thicker part of the bat is at the top of the image when it comes to that kind of
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
So it's like you're a second place loser. So
Yeah.
here's your.
I think first and second
is
place,
it-
they were probably turned right side up. Third
Yeah.
place, you just got
You're
beat
done.
by the other two teams, so you're going to have to be upside down.
How is it football and softball?
It's a
It's a
Wildcats
fundraiser
football.
for the football.
Yeah, that
I'm
was
thinking.
funny.
Yeah.
Maybe.
That's
I
what
don't
I'm
know.
thinking.
I was sitting here
thought maybe you
thinking, so
tackled
this is
somebody.
like the most confused.
Yeah.
Trophy.
It was the. they
If we
needed-
could have put a basketball up on top, we would have been set. Somebody shooting a hoop, you know.
What I'm wanting to know is why does the church still have a third place trophy? We've got to be better than this. I mean, this doesn't highlight.
We got a bunch up there, man. There's probably all
I mean, our
kinds of
softball,
places.
our softball expertise is not on display with a third
That
place
is the
trophy.
shortest one we have.
Yeah.
Oh, it is.
Yeah.
That's why I brought
There's
it.
some bigger third place trophies up there.
We start every week, bring down a different one.
So pretty much what we're saying is First Baptist Church of the Island softball consistently middle of the road.
It's always
In recent years, they've had better seasons.
Catholic,
It's gotten better since we added
Methodist,
this way.
Baptist.
Yes.
It's much better.
Since Eric and I are playing, it's much better.
So this is not a plug for the summer. I guess maybe we'll do this one day. We've never promoted this before, but we do have 2 church softball teams, and
Yes, we do.
And I went to a few of the. I played back in the day. So my softball story. I used to play back in the day, but then back in the day here.
Was that in the 1900s?
Yes, it was. And so Hannah was little, Drew was littler, and I thought, you know what? I want them to see their dad playing softball. You know, just got out there, put all my skills on display. So I played on the church softball team a couple of years. Went out there. They were playing on the playground the whole time. They never even saw me play. But Drew played this past summer for part of the year. And you played, Rylan, you know, and it's fun. They're fun going to those
They
games.
are, yeah.
You know, it's a good time.
Marcia
And we've got
brings
2
snacks.
church teams.
Yeah, Marcia brought
Marcia
snacks.
feeds the
She was
whole-
the
That was
Yes.
awesome, man.
She was the
boiled
team.
peanut night was my favorite.
she was the team mom.
What
For
was
both
it?
teams.
What night?
She did boiled peanuts one night, like individual.
She did. I was
there
That was a
day.
good
Yeah.
night, man.
She did.
Yeah.
This is where we need the mascot. So several years ago when I applied
Is
for
that
this,
gonna be you?
Well, several years ago when I applied for this job, remember we had to fill out that book.
Yeah,
And so
13 pages later.
believe it or not, they do a good job and we still got hired.
Hey, they sent a detective to for me.
Oh my goodness.
He's not kidding.
But
They did a lot of background check on him.
we thought you said you grew up in Idaho. Anyway.
On Idaho, not in Idaho.
Anyway, I mentioned something about there being a mascot, and Brooks told me like a year later, he's like, I thought it was the dumbest thing I ever read until I met you. I was like, no, it'd be cool to have a
Yeah,
mascot
you're gonna
for the
have a
kids, for the church.
Church mascot.
Yeah.
This was not on the pre-run here. So, but if we had a church mascot, what would it look like? I mean,
You wanted a turtle, didn't
I
you?
say
Yeah, I wanted a
turtle.
turtle.
For the
yeah.
kids'
I'm
ministry,
thinking
you wanted a
for
turtle.
the church, it more be like salty, maybe like a big Bible.
we've already had that conversation. That'd creep out every kid on
when
the
I came
island.
here, we had a
gonna thump ya.
Wana cubby and we had Sparky up in the attic. And so they
they're
had
still
used
up there.
those. They had used those. I thought we threw them away. I thought the rats got them.
There's maybe they did.
I thought the
there's
rats got
something up
into
there. It's a head. I don't open the box.
Hey, don't look now, but there's one behind you.
Yeah.
I
There's
think we
something
found our
up
own
there.
location. The next podcast is going to be recorded from the church
That's
attic.
our thing.
From
We
the
could be the Big Baby Baptist.
That would be something if we B3 Big Baby Baptist.
Oh man.
That's our podcast mascot,
Yeah.
I guess.
The big baby head.
But that'd be cool if
When
you,
we're losing, the Big Baby Baptist would be very appropriate.
That's the face you mean.
that's pretty good.
Take your third place trophy.
Do y'all remember? How we got that?
Hit the road.
My very first hurricane evacuation. We found that when we were in Greenville. Marcia and I did
You mean a hurricane?
a hurricane. All 4 of us loaded up in my little Fiat with the dog, and we went to with the 2 dogs. With the 2
That
dogs.
was
you
the
got
night
Molly
that the
still.
3 families drove from Hardyville,
Yes.
all the way up to Columbia together.
We
because
did. Y'all were with us. We were all together.
leading the charge.
Oh,
y'all had
yeah.
never
Y'all were
taken
with
the.
us. Yeah.
You got it on that trip?
Y'all had never
Yep.
ridden on the 321, and so
Yep.
we were
3, 2, 1.
We got it. And the funny thing is we didn't realize it, but on the way back, we were packing everything up, and so that was just in the back of the car. Well, to make it fit, it was just sitting where it was looking out the back window. We didn't realize that. And we would have cars go by us on the way back on the interstate. They would blow at us, and they were waving and laughing. And we were like, Marcia and I were like, what are these cars doing?
That trip, I spent more time looking out a rearview mirror because Amber and I could not get over how y'all fit in that car.
Did it even have a back seat? That was a small car.
Not only did it have, we had both the kids in the back seat, and we had all of our stuff that we had taken with us for the hurricane.
That's impressive.
And the dogs and 2 dog kennels.
Yeah, in the back of the Fiat.
In the back of the Fiat.
So it was the Flex. I can't remember who was in
Fiat
second. If it was you,
We
It
were
was their
asking the
van.
kids
It was their van.
At the rest
Yeah.
stop, I was like, y'all want to ride with us?
Fiat should really sponsor our podcast and give me a new car, right? Wouldn't that be awesome?
It's worth a shot. Yeah, you're
The
like,
reason
what's
I-
that scratching on my head? It's like, that's the dog's back foot.
The reason I got a Fiat.
He's in the trunk.
somebody's rubbing
I'll
his
tell you, the
belly
reason
right
I
now.
wanted
He
a
can't-
Fiat was because the Pope drove a Fiat at that time.
Really?
And I thought, I've got to get a Fiat.
That was just to get around Vatican City. I mean, like, we're going on a long trip.
It was crazy because everybody would always, all my friends would send me, there was some meme and it was like a car. It had been wrecked. It was a terrible wreck on the road, but there was a squirrel sitting in front of it eating a nut, and somebody had taken a picture, and it was like, "This is your Fiat after you hit a squirrel." The squirrel sitting there eating his nut, and the car is just in pieces all over the road. And just
Oh, my goodness. Wow.
I saw a crazy raccoon Saturday, and I don't know if he was like,
Definitely not on the list.
I don't know if he was rabid or he had his back was all hunched up. It was the middle of the day, and he was just walking around doing this, and he was in the road. He wouldn't get out of the road, and Kel Pruitt, who lives down the road, thinks he got hit by a car and he was stunned. But I thought about getting out and asking him if he was okay, but I didn't
You were
know
going
if
to
he
ask
was
Raccoon? You're going to ask the Raccoon?
I watched those Guardians
my
movies.
goodness.
Are you okay?
Rocket,
Yeah, that's what I'm
like
seeing.
Elf.
in
Have
the
you seen
video.
Elf?
Yeah.
So I've always
my.
heard when they do that kind of thing, they're rabid.
Yeah,
That if you
That's what
see
I'm
them
saying.
out
I
during
called
the
animal
day,
control.
Yeah.
So I didn't use my hand, but I called animal control.
He's probably still out
Animal
there.
control.
Hello? Hello?
the raccoon looks at you and says, "Are you okay?"
Yeah, we have an animal acting strangely. He told me he was okay.
Gave me a thumbs up. You okay?
Somebody besides animal control would have made that visit, I think.
So we have an event coming up. Actually, it's going to be our promo today in just a little bit. The Super Bowl party, SOUPER, that we're going to do. There's a little fellowship action here coming up this Sunday, but we'll give all the details. I guess I just sort of gave all the details, I guess. But Jeremy's going to share more. So it's going to involve crockpots, and it's going to involve chili or soup. You guys crockpot people? Did your parents cook a lot with crockpots when you were kids? Because mine didn't. We never really fixed anything out of crockpots. We don't. Susie does now some, but when I was a kid, I don't remember everything.
That's what Kaylin got for Christmas. She
A
wanted
crock pot?
she wanted a crock pot for the house in Atlanta. Yeah, she was so excited.
Cool.
She's already done like 5 or 6 things.
Emma got a crock pot and a air fryer.
Yeah.
It was like her year. I'm like, when the day comes, you're ready to get married, you're going to already have your kitchen stocked.
There you go. And the Instapot. Remember those were
Oh, yeah.
crazy, popular.
That's what we've
we just
got.
used it
An
last night.
Instapot crock pot. That's what
Yeah.
we've got.
Does that qualify as a crock pot?
It does.
I get
It can do both.
It's in the title.
is in
Instapot
the
can be
title.
a part of it. Can do
Yeah.
crock pot work.
So
too.
will we see any Instapots this coming Sunday, you think?
Possibly.
With
If
stuff
I
in it?
bring my chili, you will.
Yeah.
That's
in
what
the
I've got.
Instapot.
That's what I have.
So what are some of do you have like a go-to dish that you make in a crock pot? I know you do because I've seen it. Either you or Paige. I know that we have sometimes for church functions where.
That's just one I usually make for here. I don't do that at home. Like
Are we thinking the same thing? What is
You're thinking of the meatballs.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's just a go-to, like if we're trying to do something for a large group. But that wouldn't be in the chili
like an
or the
appetizer?
soup.
I say, is that a soup?
No,
It's not a chili
it's
or soup,
But it's
so-
kind of like one that I associate
Yeah,
with you.
so smokies and meatballs, either one of those, and crock pots are always
I
easy
think
to
he
do.
wants you to bring it.
Yeah,
I mean,
Subtle hint dropped.
meatball soup.
I don't know why you would meatball that. I mean, think that. I mean,
Yeah, that's just the simple, Sweet Baby Ray's meatballs. But yeah, we do. Last week we made like 3 or 4 different crock pot meals through the whole week. One of them was to take to someone else because we like to do Mexican rice bowls, and we'll do kind of a Mexican mix in the crock pot, just a slow cooker mix, and you pre-brown the meat and then put it all together. And Paige can set it up in the fridge in a crock pot liner in a 9x13 or something. I'll go home at lunch, put it in the crock pot, get it started on low, and dinner's served. So we did a couple of those. We just had one of those weeks where we just needed to do a number of those. And so we had a chicken dish that was in the crock pot. We had another one where it was Mexican rice for another family we were taking a meal to. So we used the crock pot a lot last week. But
those liners have to be one of the best inventions of all time. Mm-hmm. That's good stuff. Y'all have any little go-to dishes? Crock pot stuff?
I've never used the liners. We have never used those before.
You're old
but
school.
We're old school.
need to try it out, man.
But I have done some pasta dishes I'll do in there. I've got a crock pot lasagna that's actually fairly good. But I do egg bites, like the Starbucks egg bites. You can do egg bites in the crock pot.
Don't they have a fancy name?
Sous vide
Yeah, those.
Yeah.
is it's the preparation method.
Yeah.
So how do you do those in the crock pot?
You just put a little bit of water in there, and you've got there's a little, it's a silicone muffin mold that I use.
And you crack the eggs in there?
Moldy muffins.
Yep, put a little bit of water. Put a little bit of water on the bottom, set those down in it, and it doesn't take long at all.
Just steams them right there.
So you have a moldy muffin crock pot dish, is what you're saying.
Sure.
Susie makes mac and cheese in a crock pot that is good
mac
stuff.
and cheese.
So
that's
you
really
mentioned
good.
pasta. That's what I thought about.
Yeah.
Y'all have any?
I made yogurt once in a crock pot.
Oh,
like
wow.
homemade yogurt. You use like a starter, but it was cheap to make a big old batch of it. So basically you turn it on, you let it get up to a temp, and then you turn it off and just like kind of pack it with towels, and it kind of just makes its
Oh, wow.
thing. It's pretty
You
good.
used to do your turkey in there, didn't you?
Oh, we do it every Thanksgiving and Christmas. We do our turkey in a crock pot.
No.
That's awesome, man.
My sister has started cooking more in the crock
Dude,
pot.
it's so good.
For turkey. She'll take, she pre-does it. She actually has a YouTube channel that she did a couple of years ago. She showed how to do the whole process. She cooks it ahead of time, puts it in the freezer, and then she brings it back to life in the crock pot. And it's like, I mean, not the real turkey walking around.
She does that at Easter.
I do that. That's a magic trick.
Yeah.
I think I did that in the Philippines.
Sounds
where
miraculous.
that's a different thing. No, she brings it back up to good temperature and ready to serve, and it's really good. And it's like cooked in its own stock again.
Huh.
Yeah.
It's a really good easy way to do turkey, because with turkey, you're always waiting for it to come out of the oven and everything. So
We'll
it
start
makes
it the night before and we just
Yeah.
let it roll, and then we wake up and the turkey's ready. It's
Oh,
really
that
nice.
smells good in the house.
Dude, it smells awesome.
I'm still thinking about the turkey coming back to life. That's-
Easter Sunday.
I'm going to work
You
on
got
this
any?
trick.
Oh, last night Amber made butter chicken in an instant pot. It was
Oh.
good. Ooh, it was good.
I think we got that recipe from y'all, because we do that too, and I think we got it from y'all.
Oh, she
really good.
she makes good chili in the crock pot. I've never done anything in the crock pot except once, and it was earlier this month. I made oatmeal for everybody.
Yep.
Oh, yeah, you did. That
you
was
did
good.
a good job.
Thank you very
It
much.
was very good.
Yeah,
So
that was good.
Our other next to strange thing in the crock pot is our crock pot candy that we like to make. That's usually what we give at Christmas time.
That's how you do that?
Isn't there
We
a
do it
song
in the
about
crock
that?
pot. Yeah.
Crock pot candy Christmas?
If I had all the ingredients, we could start a crock pot, and in 2 hours I'd have some candy to drop, but I don't know that song.
I can turn his mic off.
think it's
Please turn his
I'll turn
mic
his
off.
mic off.
Crock
Yeah.
pot candy Christmas.
Mute
All
him.
right, he's gone.
You are the weakest link. Goodbye.
Definitely. Please.
All right, let's take a break here, and Jeremy has a not so secret promo, and then we'll be right back.
Blue 42! Blue 42! Omaha! Omaha! Say hi! That's right. The Super Bowl is coming up in 2 weeks, but have you heard of the Super Bowl? That's coming up this Sunday, February the 4th from 5 to 7 p.m. in our fellowship hall. It is just a great way to warm your heart, spirit, and tummy with an evening filled with our church family food, games, and fellowship. We're going to ask each family to bring in a crock pot of soup or chili. We'll have the fixins, plus a little dessert and some drinks to share. Plus, you're going to bring in a can of soup to donate to the Savannah Baptist Center's food pantry. When you bring that in, you're going to pick which team you're rooting for, either the Kansas City Chiefs with Patrick Mahomes, or you're going to go for Brock Purdy and the 49ers of San Francisco. So we can't wait to see you this Sunday, February 4th, 5 o'clock for the Super Bowl.
And just to say, too, we do have a prize for the winning pot. We're going to give this monumental piece. Yeah, not really. So no prizes, just a lot of fun.
Are you worried the team from 1995 will be offended?
They may
if we
be
give away-
there. They
They're
may
all
be.
going to stand up.
And I'm gonna
That's ours.
I'm gonna go on record. We do not have a designated account for the trophy case either. So you cannot give to that.
No, not at all. So this past Sunday, we kind of spent a little time in Ephesians chapter 4, 11 through 13, and interesting passage of scripture. So Paul's writing to a real church in the city of Ephesus, and he's talking about some structure within, in a lot of ways, you could say kind of early Christianity. In some ways, you could say the local church still today as well. So he mentioned 5 different areas of leadership, 2 of which many would argue, and I kind of mentioned, on Sunday, don't exist at least as formal leadership roles, apostle and prophet. And then you've got evangelists and then pastors and teachers, which may be separate or in a lot of ways could be combined, I guess, pastor, teacher. And so Paul mentioned, what the function of those roles were and kind of the byproduct of it as well. So what stands out to you about that passage of Scripture? It is, especially for people who serve in vocational ministry like we do, that's a passage we're familiar with because in a lot of ways it gives us some marching orders. What comments would you have about that passage?
He didn't say televangelist.
He didn't mention televangelist. No, he didn't.
Technology changes.
Sorry.
That's okay. That was very insightful, Jeremy, that you recognize.
I bring what I can.
He was like flipping through translations trying to find it in there somewhere. It's got to be in here.
I'm sure there's a Greek something attached to that word. So any legitimate insights from the passage of Scripture?
You want to start with those positions or move to like the saints?
I don't want to start with anything at all. This is we're going to chase
open
just
source.
I'll
sort of
say
chase around.
whenever people ask what my title is and they realize it's not equipment pastor, but it's equipping pastor, they're like, where does that come from? I'm like, the Bible. So
Yeah.
it's Ephesians 4:12.
Imagine
where
that.
that comes from. So, it comes from the Bible. And then I'll often say, though, the irony is that all of the pastors are called to be equipping pastors. We're all equipping pastors. I just get the one with that title specifically to make sure that for our adult ministries, especially, that we're focused in on that.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, you guys do it in your own context. Adam, you do it in your context. I have my context as well. So,
And I think, like you said yesterday, even our teachers too are as well part of that equipping. That they're equipping people to do those works of service and to grow up in maturity.
It's interesting. It mentions, so it's equipping the saints to do the work of the ministry. I think sometimes we forget how big that word saint is. That a saint is a holy person, it's somebody set apart. A lot of times when we come to knowledge of Jesus or we place our faith in Jesus, it's a get out of hell free card in a sense, right? But really what you're doing is you're moving from a sinner to a saint. And I joke around with the kids upstairs whenever we do our salvation counseling. I'll say, now your name is, Saint Thomas. And when your mom calls you for dinner, say, Saint Thomas, come down for dinner. Parents are always like, we're not going to call him that, But we don't realize that we're going through a transformation. Mm-hmm. And so now we're no longer just, separate. We're a part of God's family and we have a role to play in that family as a part of the body of Christ. We're now saints. We're holy people with a job to do. And I think sometimes we miss that when we lead people to salvation. Like, hey, now you're part of the army. You're part of the body. Let's get to work.
yeah. So people listening to this, when they go to work, they could just tell their coworkers, do you know who you're talking to here?
I'm a saint.
I'm a saint. Yeah, I could try that. Try that if you're listening. Try it try it later today if you're
Try it with your spouse.
If you're listening to this, yeah, try it with your spouse.
I said, call me Saint Jeremy.
Don't we have marriage work starting soon? Don't we?
That's what she would do. That's what she would do to me if I asked
February
that.
7th.
Come here.
What are the
And
comments?
Jeremy is not teaching marriage works, by the way.
Yeah, session 1.
Yeah.
Demand,
Don't do the opposite of this.
demand to be called saint. Yes. Other comments? Other thoughts?
We got a text, Brooks. You and I got one yesterday from Amy Van Eck, one of our student leaders.
Yes.
We're teaching through Nehemiah, and this last session that we looked at was the idea that everybody has a part to play in the ministry that's going on. And I thought it was really cool how it tied in. So our students especially got like a double dose of there are people that equip you, and then you're equipped to go and do, and your responsibility is to do. And it was just kind of neat how that tied in. It was totally a Holy Spirit thing, not that we planned that.
Absolutely. Yeah, she texted us last night and just mentioned, I think she even said, I don't know if y'all planned that or not. And, Eric responded before I could. It's like, no, that was just a God thing.
Yep.
And completely reinforced, one for the other.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that was neat. Yeah. Any other thoughts?
It's kind of a cool thought. So Pearson, my oldest, made the soccer team at school, but he's pretty much a beginner soccer player. Other than that year, you and I coached the Blueberries.
Yeah.
When they were 5.
I don't know if
Very
that. I don't know if
intimidating.
that.
One of these?
we did not. We didn't finish third place.
If you did, bring it to the church.
I'm not sure that year helped him get any further ahead.
Yeah, I don't think so. But he really wanted to be on a team. And so it's been rough. But some of the kids that play soccer are very well equipped. They've been playing for years. And so when you mentioned that, it made me think of something that happened to him last week. They're being equipped by the coach, but these guys are also equipping Pearson. Because one of them, when an 8th grader came up to him the other day and he said, I just want you to know you've grown a lot. I've seen you grow a lot. And like that just put encouragement, which is one of those.
That's cool.
It just
That's very
encouraged him a lot. He was like, one of the other kids told me I've grown a lot.
Yeah.
And so he's been equipped, and now he's equipping him. They're helping go down the line because he's a beginner, obviously. So it's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's not just the coach's job. It's not just
Yeah.
one person's job on the team, but it's the team itself.
And
if
it
it's
meant
going to have
more.
unity on the field, the coach has to stay on the sideline.
Yeah.
It's the team that's got to get out
And
there.
it meant more, like Brooks said. When it says pastors, it's kind of like, oh, it's a pastor, but it means more. And the honest truth is, we can't do a lot of the work of the ministry because we're not out there
Yeah.
at the office, at the workplace. You are, and that's a big responsibility. You know?
Yeah, and when you read that passage, you see that when it's done rightly and it's done well, so many things happen. People are reached. People grow deeper in their faith as Christians. Unity takes place in the church because you're all on the same mission, right? You're all moving in the same direction. Suddenly, the color of the carpet and all the other things that create so many issues in so many churches don't matter much anymore when you're all headed the same direction together. And but it's hard to preach a message about pastors. Have you all ever thought about that? I mean, because you feel like you're up there just kind of talking about yourself, and but the passage very clearly deals with it, and we're not in a series right now where it came up next, but it's important for us as a church and for us as leaders to recognize, that those things, it's a high call for us to equip people, and it's a high call for folks to take it and run with it as well, and at the end of the day, we really are kind of a lot the same. So let's shift gears for a second. So we talked about that, but let's shift gears. Let's go back to the whole idea of fellowship. So we've got the Super Bowl thing coming up. That's something we've thought about a little bit more recently, right? Doing more fellowship opportunities around here. Have we talked about this lately? I don't think we have. Did we?
I think so.
On this
The
podcast?
No.
Yeah, on this podcast. Yeah, so we've talked about fellowship. We actually had some folks in our church a few months ago, I guess, that kind of had a burden for more fellowship within our church as well. So when you think about fellowships, what are some things some residual beyond just hanging out together, right? We're going to do this thing. We're going to come. We're going to hang out. We're going to have a good time. What are some things you've seen along the way? Because we've all been a part of churches that have done fellowship events. What's the takeaway from doing those kind of events more than just a good time? Any thoughts? I didn't prep you ahead of time.
Warm in your heart and tummy, like we read.
Yeah.
No, but it's like being on a team. It was talking about like you got to spend time with your teammates, and to have a good marriage, you got to spend time with your spouse. And in order to fight for each other and to be the body of Christ together, we got to spend time together. It'd be weird if your right arm didn't spend time with your right hand or whatever. I mean, you've got to, the more I find, and I might be wrong because some people are like holy sandpaper, but the more time I spend with church people, the more I enjoy them and want to be part of their lives and want to encourage them.
Yeah.
So they may not feel that same way about me.
So often on
I'm sure they do.
So often on
We'll
a
take a
Sunday
poll.
morning, y'all may feel this way too at times, but I feel like, I'm usually one of the last people to leave, and I feel like people can clear out really quick, and it's hard to have many conversations with them. And it's kind of funny because, people always want to catch you, at the hardest time of the morning when you're like responsible for teaching, 50 kids, and you've got a room full of kids waiting on you or something, or you're trying to make sure that your groups are all good, or you're trying to make sure all these details are straight. And that's when people want to have the conversation. It's like, let's just stick around to 11:35 and this whole room will be empty and we can sit down and have a good conversation. And at fellowship events like that, that's often where you do get to kind of just relax and be able to have good conversations with people. And the unity that he talks about there in Ephesians 4:13, that unity can't be achieved if we as a church never spend time around each other. If the only time we see each other is a couple of hours every week and we're all so busy doing all the work that we're trying to get done and we don't ever sit down and just share a meal together, it's going to be a lot harder for us to really have unity and be together.
Yeah. We heard it yesterday at the Connections thing that we did. Somebody made a comment about, I want to get into a group, I want to get into a D group, but it's just hard because I'm new and I don't know a lot of people. Fellowships help to just sort of bridge that gap. It helps you to connect with people, whether it starts with who you sat with at that table or who you introduced yourself to. Sometimes you got to take the first step. It's just the law of the jungle. You can't always wait for everybody to come to you. But it just creates opportunities, I think, in a lot of ways for that kind of thing to happen. You see it in student ministry all the time. Because we had 70-plus students in there Wednesday night, and they don't all know each other.
Yeah.
So.
Well, fellowship for students, and it works for adults too, is a great entry point too, because it's not formal church. So when we do our Ultimate Frisbee nights or something like that, we have a lot of people that'll come for the first time because it's not even in the building. They're not stressed out about going to church. They're not worried about what they're going to hear, what they're going to have to do. Is it going to be weird? We're just going to play Ultimate, and that's a great place for our students to be able to invite friends, teammates, neighbors, whatever. And it works for adults too. This Super Bowl party. I mean, that's a great thing for us to be able to do, to have kind of an evangelistic push to it.
Yeah. And then if you meet someone in that setting, suddenly you got somebody to sit with at church
Right.
too. You
Right.
know? So there's a lot of good things that come out of it ultimately. And we're excited about the one coming up Sunday. I mean, you can't be event driven when it comes to fellowship.
Sure.
There's a point where you can't just wait for the next event. You have to take ownership of it and get yourself out there in the mix and fellowship with people. But you know, we try to kickstart some of those things and give opportunities for it to take place. So a good conversation today, a little bit of Ephesians 4, a little bit of kind of Acts 2 in a way, fellowship like the early church used to do. And we settled some things as it relates to crockpots too. I think this has been a successful episode. You know, I think it's been a good one. So let's go ahead and wrap it up here, and hope you'll join us for the next episode coming up soon. Thank you for tuning in to the Chasing the Rabbit podcast from First Baptist Church of the Islands. New episodes appear every Tuesday. Be sure to follow, turn on your notifications, and you'll get every episode right on time. Help us out by rating this podcast, and even better, share it with someone you think may enjoy it. Check out our website, fbcislands.com. And if you haven't already, subscribe to our YouTube channel, FBC of the Islands, and we'll see you next time.